In this video, we're going to extract data from a website using the Chrome inspector. As a bonus, at the end of this video, I'm also going to show you how we can either save the data you extract to a file or copy it and even put it in something like a spreadsheet. First, why might you want to do this? Well, imagine you wanted to get all of the NBA champions from various years. As you can imagine, while this Wikipedia is a table. Wikipedia table exists. It's not exactly nice to grab, right? You're probably not going to want to just grab each of these things individually. Like, okay, Denver Nuggets 4-1, Golden State Warriors 4-2. Writing all that out is going to be a pain. So what you can do is just use the inspector and grab all this data. Another example is, say you wanted to get all of the computers from when you searched computer on Amazon. Maybe you wanted to get all of the names, whether they were sponsored or not, how much money they cost, what their delivery dates are. You could just gather all of this data and then do some form of quick analysis on it. Now, I'm not going to pretend that using an API to grab data from Reddit or from Wikipedia or anything like that isn't going to be better. But I will say that if you're just grabbing some data, probably fairly quickly, this will be faster to start. All right, let's do it. First things first, make sure you have Google Chrome installed. While you can technically do everything I'm going to show you with other browsers, it just might be slightly different. All right, so what website are we going to extract some data from? Let's use Reddit. Now, in order to open up the inspector, you're going to have to right-click the page and then click Inspect. The main reason for this is because whatever you are clicking on when you right-click, it's actually what's highlighted when the inspector shows up. So for example, if I right-click this what is denied, I ask Reddit, then this huge inspector comes up, and let me just make it a little bit smaller, but you can then see if I highlight what is highlighted, it shows this thing right here. There are also some keyboard shortcuts, which is Control-Shift-I or Command-Option-I on a Mac. All right, so in the inspector, we have a few different tabs. We have the Elements tab, which shows the HTML and CSS code. The CSS is on the side. Then we have the console. This shows all of the logs that the current website has. This also is a place where you can actually write your own JavaScript. Then we have things like sources, which are all the files that are loaded on the website. Then also the network, which shows network requests and more. For what we want to do though, we're just going to use the elements and the console. One trick that surprisingly not too many people know though, is that if you click elements and you still want to be able to use the console, you can actually just press escape while the inspector is highlighted, or I guess in use, and it will actually pop up a console. So you can kind of have two tabs open up at the same time here. Now, what are we going to extract? Let's say we want to get all of the URLs to the posts that are currently popular. In this case, that's this Ask Reddit post, this Globe and Mail post, which is maybe an ad. Yeah, an ad. Then this one for our Canada. Guess which country I live in. And it's still some white people Twitter. Great. Hockey. Again, which country I'm in. Ask Reddit, etc. Well, all of these posts have something in common. There's a specific way to actually interact with them, right? You can click the post. So let's get a list of all of the posts that are currently here. In order to do that, we're going to, again, right-click a single post we want and click Inspect. Now, we have this inspector here. Now, what we're going to look for is something that is called an anchor. We can see this right here. This anchor tag is basically a way to link to a new page. And this href is the page that it's actually linking to. So all we have to do here is be able to identify how we can get anything that has this specific tag. We want everything that has this tag. So this is where our JavaScript comes in. Let me clear the console and let me copy this class here. This class is a CSS class, and you might notice that all of the stuff that's listed here, except for some things that are clearly readable, are, well, not readable, because all of this is what's called obfuscated code. Basically what that means is that Reddit decides to have their CSS classes and things like that uploaded online or made available for their production website, which is the one we're all use, in such a way that you can't really easily copy this. So because, again, as I said, the sources tab contains all of the data for this website, it's not exactly friendly to use if this is class is named SQ no C3 OBVGN GJWT90 ZD9Z, right? Pretty terrible name. If you name that as a variable, you're probably not going to have a job for very long. All right, so let's get the target. So if we're going to do this, what we can do is do target equals, you can see I have played with some things in the past, document.createElement select, wow, I can't spell. Okay, and now we can see we still have two options here, querySelector or querySelectorAll. Now, if we did querySelector without all, it will just find the first element that matches whatever we're searching for. If we do querySelectorAll, it actually returns every element that we want. So in this case, we're going to do all because we want to be able to get every element with this specific class. Now, this is a function. And the selector we're going to pass in is dot and then this long string. Now, the reason we do a dot here is because it's a class. If it was an ID, we would do a hashtag. Yeah, I guess those are the two main ones. I guess you can also technically do divs and stuff like that as selectors. But anyways, we're just going to do this. Okay, so let's press enter and see what we get. Undefined. That sounds great, right? The reason this is actually undefined is because we are already setting this to a variable. So if we type now targets, we can now see that we get a list of 25 things. And one thing that's cool about the DevTools is that if you then highlight one, it'll even highlight what you have selected. So you can see that of the two things we have here, we have this one. Technically, it might skip the add actually. If that's the case, it does. That's kind of nice. Great, we have a node list of 25. Well, that's okay, it's not the URLs, right? We still wanted the URLs to each of these pages. So what we can do now is we can type array.from. Let me just make this a bit bigger. Array.from, and then we can pass in our targets. Now, what this is going to do is it's going to convert the targets from a node list to an array. So now if we do 0, which is the first element in the array, we can see this again, which is this one here. Perfect. Now, an array has a lot of helper functions, a lot of helper functions on an actual array. What you can do now is do map, which is basically converting every element to something else. So we're going to do element, and we're going to do equals greater than, this is just an inline function. So if you just copy exactly what I'm doing, it should work the same. Now, okay, we're now mapping every element. Now, what do we want from every element? We want element.href. Okay, now if we do this and let's do 0, we can see now we get the first element. And that is, well, that's this one right here. But that we're just getting the first element, right? We want all of them. So if we just, rather than putting the 0 there, we just did this. Now we have every link. Okay, great. This is perfect, right? Great. So we have all the data we need now, right? But what if we want more than just one part of the post? Maybe we want to get the title and the author too. Well, let's grab that. So based off of this post, we're going to have to look a little bit around at what data is available. So the title is right here, right? The title is basically a child with this class. So all we have to do now to get the title is basically find the element. So if we did this and do querySelector and pass in this class. Now, if we do this and we do query selector, this is going to find the single value, and we do innerText, we should be able to get a list of all of the titles. There we go. Every title in that list. Okay, cool. But number one, we don't have both the title and the URL at the same time. And number two, we don't have the author still. So where is the author? Well, the author, if we look at this here, we can determine that the author is actually under this here. And it's under this. You can just kind of see based off of what it's highlighting. So we can do this and then this and posted by this div right here. This ID user info something. And it has an anchor as well. Okay, cool. So let's see if we try to get everything here. This is kind of where you can play around with some stuff. So let's try document.createSelectorAll. And let's pass in just this one here. So we can see we get 28 values. So let's get the first one and let's get the inner HTML or the inner text. So we can see that this does in fact match the person who posted this. DoFilm 8896. Good question, DoFilm. All right, so all we have to do now is be able to determine how can we get all of this data in a simple way. Well, we kind of had to dig down a bit, right? So the best way to do this is to try and find something that has a common ancestor or a common parent. So basically what that means is that we're going to look here, and we know we already need the data from here, right? And from here. So basically we want to try and find something that has a common parent. This is, in this case, it seems like it's this thing. So now if we grab this value and we do the same thing, we won't get the inner text. But if there's 28 values here, then we probably have the right thing. Okay, great, we do. So now all we need to do is extract each piece of data we want from each post. So we're going to do arrays.from, and we're going to reset our target's value to be this. Array.from. All right, now we have all of our values, but we don't actually have the content from each of them yet. So now we're going to do targets.map. We're going to do the element, and we're going to get a couple of things from this. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to get the title. The title is this value right here. So we're going to do title equals element.querySelector with this bad boy right here, and inner text. Okay. And then we're going to do the URL, and we're going to do element.querySelector. This bad boy, or maybe it's a good boy, who knows, .href. And then our final thing, we're going to do the user. Maybe, you know what? It's going to be so easy to do. Might as well just get the subreddit as well. I guess technically you could query that from the URL, but let's just do it because it's not too hard. All right, so down here we had the user, I believe, right here. And we're going to do this, and we're going to say element.querySelector selector.this.innerText. And then finally, let's get the subreddit. I know this is a long thing that I got going on here, but trust me, it's actually not that bad. All right, next thing we're going to grab, just because, is the subreddit, which was right here. And we can see it's this here with this class. And we're going to go element.querySelector.this.innerText. Okay, excellent. So now what we're doing is we are, for each element that we have, we're going to create an object. This is just returning if we have a single line here. So we're going to create an object that is returning a title, an URL, a user, and a subreddit. Now let's press enter. And I missed a thing somewhere. Title. Okay, so the issue was that some of the elements were actually null. This was specifically the case for promoted posts or ads, and in which case we needed to check if they were null first, and if they were, then we would return null for that. Otherwise, we would return the actual value. And also for the subreddit, the thing we were searching for here actually matched twice. So we just had to check which times it matched. And then we specifically wanted the second value. The first value was actually the icon for the subreddit. Strange that they would share the same class, but hey, a little bit of testing, not a big deal. All right, so we go ahead and we do this. And now if we open this up, we can see that we now have the link to the post, we have the title, we have the user, and we have the subreddit. Awesome. In some cases, which kind of is actually convenient, if it doesn't have the URL or a subreddit, it's an ad. So just, don't use them. They're, maybe kind of useless for you. Perfect. So now we have all the data. As promised, now I'm going to show you how to actually get the data from the console and either save it as a file, copy it, or I guess kind of copy it into a format that you can just put into any kind of spreadsheet really easily. Let's do that. All right, so we have this huge list. Let's just do the first thing that I've just mentioned. The easiest possible thing we can do is copy all of this data. Well, how can we do that? Well, you're gonna maybe say that this is kind of cheating, but first off, let's just set that lit vals equal this. So now we have all of the values already. Now to copy it, you're gonna type copy and then the values, and that's it. We did it. All done. Now if you paste, you can see we get all of these values here, and it's already all formatted nicely because it's an array. It's an array of JavaScript objects, technically JSON. Cool. So done. Job done. Easy. Now, how do we save this to a file? Well, I mean, technically you can copy this, so you could just create a text file. But I'll show you the way you can actually do it so it actually saves something, just in case copying wasn't possible for some reason. But realistically, just copy it because it's going to be way easier. Let's do valString is instead going to be vals.map. It's R, right? Yeah. Okay. And sorry. Subject. And we're going to join it all by a new line, which is just this \n. Okay, now we have valString, and if we paste this out, there we go. So again, we could just copy this using copy, but instead what we're going to do is we're going to type bb equals new blob valString type text plain. Sorry, new blob. Okay, and then we're going to do let a equals document.createElement. A data download equals download.text. a.href equals window.URL.createObjectURL. bb, and then a.click. There we go. Very nice. All right, the final way we're going to do this is we have all of vals still, and well, I'm just going to copy something in here. .rurl, and let's just get the title for now. Okay, if we copy this, then go to sheets.new, we can go ahead and paste this in here. And there we go. We have all the data. We have this is the title, this is the URL, and we're good to go. It even linkifies it for you. Pretty sweet. If you found this tutorial helpful, please drop a like down below and feel free to subscribe for more programming tutorials, tech reviews, and just general tech-related stuff. If you have any questions or suggestions for other videos, also drop a comment. I'm Jake. You're awesome and happy data extracting. Cheers. Functions.